Look, first came hope. A vaccine is near. That's good, right? But yesterday, a discouraging admission from the Prime Minister. Canada will have to wait for other countries to give their citizens the vaccine first. They produce it there before Canadians can expect theirs. Why is that the case? Justin Trudeau says we lack domestic production capacity. If we did, why didn't Canada secure a licensing deal for vaccines to be made here? What will this mean for the big question? This is the main thing. When will a vaccine get to you? Will we have to watch people in the UK, in the United States, in Australia, and other countries get vaccines months before we get any? Let's bring in the Intergovernmental Affairs Minister, Dominic LeBlanc, to find out. Joining me now is Minister Dominic LeBlanc. Good to have you on the program, Minister. Look, you've seen question period today. Vaccines is the big issue, and I want to start with access. Countries like Australia, Mexico, Brazil, when they signed deals with AstraZeneca and for that vaccine candidate, they also signed licensing agreements to produce those domestically. For example, India is already producing millions of doses that will be distributed the day that vaccine gets the green light. Did Canada sign any licensing agreements to domestically produce that particular vaccine?
Evan, AstraZeneca is a good example. That company's manufacturing facility closed in the 2007 to 2011 period when Mr. Harper was Prime Minister. Many of the biomanufacturing companies that had significant facilities in Canada, like AstraZeneca, like GSK, like Johnson & Johnson, closed their facilities in Canada during the Harper years. So that capacity doesn't exist in Canada now, the domestic manufacturing. That's why we aggressively pursued contracts to bring those vaccines to Canadians as quickly as possible. But at the same time, we're also investing in rebuilding that manufacturing capacity so that later this year and next year, if there are annual doses required, subsequent doses required, we'll be able to have that capacity back in Canada.
Okay, but you know there are lots of people that say that actually that's not necessarily an accurate reflection. For example, the Prime Minister says we no longer have capacity to produce the vaccines, and I appreciate the AstraZeneca. But in Montreal, where your government invested in the National Research Centre and in Saskatchewan, they would have, and I'm talking specifically about AstraZeneca because it doesn't require cold storage, and actually we have the technology to produce it. If your government had signed a licensing deal, the National Research Council in Montreal could have begun production now. You didn't need the AstraZeneca facility. That's the bottom line, because many of those other countries didn't have AstraZeneca facilities. They are just got the licensing agreement. So I'm just going to ask you specifically, why not sign a licensing agreement with that particular vaccine candidate so we could have a domestic supply?
So, Evan, a very good question. You're referring to the National Research Council's Royal Mount facility in Montreal. The Prime Minister announced at the end of the summer in August a very significant investment to expand, literally construct next to the existing Royal Mount facility, that biomanufacturing capacity, so that we would be able to produce domestic supplies of these vaccines. But it's simply not true to pretend that we could flick a switch and that facility in any significant way could produce right now enough vaccines that would be able to vaccinate Canadians. If you're talking about a few thousand for some clinical trial, that will not immunize Canadians as successfully as our procurement strategy will, by aggressively getting, Evan, to the front of the line and bringing to Canada these vaccines when it's safe and approved to make them available to Canadians.
But we're not at the front of the line. The Prime Minister clearly indicated we're at the back of the line. So maybe you can,
Evan,
well, hold on.
No.
But the Prime Minister said, just a second. I just want to make
I don't think he said the
because
back of
there's
the line,
there's access and there's distribution. The Prime Minister said that we are going to have to wait until the companies that are producing these domestically are giving it first to their countries. The United States is saying they're going to start vaccinating December 11th. The UK, Germany, Australia, they are going to be vaccinating in December. I know we bought these, so just be transparent. When will Canadians begin our vaccination? December, January, February, March? When?
So, Evan, first of all, the vaccines, the countries you're referring to have not yet approved in terms of a safe and effective use of those vaccines. So those approvals are ongoing. So a lot of people are saying a certain date they'll be vaccinating, but they haven't yet given the approval. The regulatory authorities in those countries haven't given the approval. We think it's important that Canadians have confidence and the independent science and regulators study and approve the vaccines in a coherent and responsible way. That being said, once those approvals, which are ongoing, Health Canada is doing rolling approvals, work in terms of approvals with 3 of the leading manufacturers, AstraZeneca, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and Moderna are currently going through advanced approvals with Health Canada. So what we've said is at the beginning of next year, in January of 2021, assuming those approvals are given, Evan, Canadians will be able to start being vaccinated. And to say that we're at the back of the line or behind a whole list of other countries, again, is very much exaggerated.
Okay, but hold on.
The Conservatives should be careful not to say that, Evan.
Okay, well, hold on a second. You're saying, this is interesting, you're saying that we all understand pending approval. And the issue for countries like the United States, the UK, India, Japan, Mexico, Brazil, they're saying, look, I'll give you an example on AstraZeneca. India's already producing millions of doses. The day they get approval, they will be able to begin vaccination on a mass level. I don't know if we are. But now you're saying, and this is important, you're saying if Health Canada approves a vaccine, that we could be getting vaccinations, we'll get those doses in January of 2021. That's what you just said. That's interesting. So that fast, we will be getting those doses. That could be great news.
But it will be great news, Evan. And that's why Canada has been very successful in preparing one of the most comprehensive portfolios of vaccines to make sure that Canadians, when it's safe, can have access to those vaccines. Now, we've said in the first quarter of next year. So starting in January, assuming that the approvals are in place, we will start to receive some of the doses that we have contractually obtained for Canadians. We've got over 400 million doses, Evan, under contract now.
Okay, but hold on, slow down.
Beginning of next year.
Minister, this is really critical. So if there's Health Canada has to approve it, we all accept that. There's no debate about that. Okay. What is the delay between when Health Canada actually approves the drug, the potential vaccine, whether it's Pfizer, Moderna, or AstraZeneca? What is now the lag? Because you said we'll start giving vaccines in January. That's different than in March because months matter to businesses and to health. What is the lag between when Health Canada gives the guarantee, or the go-ahead, the green light, and actually when people get a needle in their arm? Is it the next day you will start distributing, or then do you have to wait to see how many doses you actually get delivered?
Well, there's a contract schedule that Canada has successfully negotiated with 7 different companies, the 3 you just named, because they appear to be likely to be the first that will receive regulatory approval. Those vaccines will start arriving in January of next year and will ramp up over the coming months. And a number of other companies, we hope, will also have vaccines that will be approved, and those will continue to arrive in Canada and be distributed with provinces and territories over the coming months in 2021. Evan, this has been clear from the beginning. Canada has, in fact, been criticized by some countries for having procured amongst the most significant number of doses of any country per capita.
I understand, but
I thought was important for Canadians.
But listen, signing contracts and getting delivery is different. Just 2 very quick points, sir. You're guaranteeing that some, pending approval, you would guarantee that some people will get vaccinated in January. Is there any reason why your government is not transparent on the number of doses we're going to receive? Like, are we going to get 80,000 doses or 6 million doses?
But again, Evan, that is subject to the contracts that we successfully negotiated with a whole
series.
What
do the contracts say? Why can't we just know what the contracts say? That's all I'm saying. Other countries are delighted to tell us what the contracts say.
So, Evan, we will start to receive the first millions of doses in the early part of 2021 if the vaccines are approved for use in Canada. Those contracts are in place, and that distribution will be made very effectively with provinces and territories And Canadians need to know that the Government of Canada has been very effective in ensuring that we have timely access to safe and effective vaccines.
All right. Interesting. Well, we hope, listen, nobody wants this to be delayed at all. Dominic LeBlanc, Minister LeBlanc, always good to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Evan.